In this video, I am going to show you how to do parallel programming in R.
So this will make your program much faster, and many a times actually in our computer we have i3 or i7 processors which has got multiple cores. Even i7 may have 8 cores. Of these cores we are not really using it in terms when it comes to programming, right? So suppose if you have a job which can be parallelized, in the sense if you want to add from 1 to 100. So usually what serial code does is first 1 and 2 will be added, to the result it will be added 3, and to that result again 4, like that goes on like serially. So it takes more time. But suppose if we can add at the same time like 1 to 10 in one core, as simultaneously at the same time if you can add 11 to 20 in another core in the processor and 20 to 30 in another core, then finally you can sum it up. So it will be approximately one tenth of the total time it will take actually. So you can make it much faster. There are several ways to write parallel program. One is MP message passing interface. In C as well as in Fortran you can do that actually. But here in R we have packages, so you don't have to worry too much about parallelizing the code. In the sense you don't have to parse message passing, like you have to pass variables to another core, and this is much easier actually.
Let us do it. First I will tell you how to install R. To install R in Ubuntu, you open a terminal like this. Then you give the command like sudo apt install rbase. So it will install R in the machine, like you have to have internet connection. So it will be installed, R will be installed. That is the way you install R in Ubuntu. If you want to install in Windows, go to Google and search like R install Windows. So you will get the link and you can install it similarly. So you will get an icon on the desktop in case of Windows. But in Ubuntu, you can open R from the terminal. Like in the terminal, you just type a capital R and enter. So this is R console. So you can use R as a calculator. Suppose 2 plus 3 it will give. So whatever, all the mathematical calculation, but simple calculating, as a simple calculator you can use it. Like 2 plus 5 star 8 plus 4 by 7 plus sine of R is case sensitive, so you have to use small letters like 3.14 by 2 plus exp, e raised to 2, something like that. You can do this kind of calculation. So R can be used as a calculator. So this is R. How to quit R? Q, then parenthesis. Then it will ask whether these variables, the member has to be saved, the values you have given, whether it has to save or not. If you don't want to save it, type N. If you want to save it, then you can type Y. So next time when you open it, these variables will be available if you save it. That is so this is how you install R and use it as a calculator in Ubuntu. The next thing I will show you how to install RStudio. So RStudio is a front end of R, like it is a graphical user interface. But the things you can do in R, you can use RStudio to do. So the advantage is that some commands in R you don't have to remember. Like it has got many advantages. Like here, this is RStudio. So RStudio here, this part is the command window. So the command window you can issue commands like so whatever you have done, like 23 plus 90, like all the commands you can issue over here. So you can use it. And at the same time you can also start a new script or script, a program file, like where you can put 23 plus 90 or whatever sine of 3.14 by 2 plus 3, something like that. How to run the program? Like you can put the cursor over there in each line and click on run. So that line will be run here, like in the bottom in the command window. Put it on the second one, run. So line by line we can run actually. So we can write it over here. And apart from that, see, we can also save this as a file. Like what we can do is we can save it. Like suppose if I save it as test1.r and save it. Okay, so you save that file. Then here if you type on click on the source, it will that code will be executed. So you can save it and then you can run. So this is, otherwise you need to know this command in R actually. If you want to use the same thing, you have to use source then quote test1.r. Okay, you have to do it like this, source, a program you can write it. So here, but it has got a lot of advantage even for installing package and other things like. So this is RStudio. Then I will show you how to install R. How to install this RStudio. So to install RStudio, go to Google, go to RStudio, or even Google, you can Google it, Google RStudio. So it will be RStudio download. You can click, so you will get the link over there. This is rstudio.com. So you can click, then you can download. There are different versions. One is a server version. Server version is something which you installed on a server. You can remotely use it. You can remotely use it when you install it on a server. But at the moment we are installing it on our desktop, like this desktop, that is free actually. So you can easily download. When you see, for example, if you can click on download, then you can install it on Windows, Mac and Ubuntu, etc. So I'm using Ubuntu 20.0, that version. So I'm using this select, and you can click on that. It will download, and then you can easily install it, RStudio. So installing RStudio is this. So even for Windows also you can install that exe file will be there. You can download and execute it. So you know how to install a Debian package in Ubuntu, like an Ubuntu package. So you can easily install. I mean, you don't have to do much actually. If you can double click on that, it will automatically open the package manager and install RStudio. So once you have that, then you will have RStudio. So this is how you install RStudio. So I'll tell you again. So the difference, basically it is R. RStudio is only a front end. Similar to RStudio, there are so many other front ends like RKword or something. There are so many RCommand. There are so many GUIs. This one is RStudio is a bit popular. I would like to use R personally, like so. That's why I introduced RStudio. So now we know how to install R and RStudio. Now I will show you how to use R starting from the beginning. Like I said, you can use R as a calculator, something you can do here. So you can also assign values like A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, then C is equal to A plus B, then print C. It will print the value of C, or even simply you can enter C, and this one you can do. So this is a program, like so you can assign values. So when you ask this assigning, there are different ways you can assign a value. First thing is when because if you are more into mathematics, you may tend to assign it like A is equal to 10, like. But at the same time, the most popular way of assigning a variable value to a variable is this something like this. This is same as A is equal to 10. You can also do this way, minus greater 10. This is sorry, A. So then again 10 will be assigned to the variable A. So this is another way of doing it. Then there is a command called assign value. So this is the most popular way of assigning. This is the best way you can use that. Otherwise, for simplicity, you can simply type A is equal to 10. Okay. So this we can do. Here in RStudio, this is where you do actually. A is equal to 10. A is equal to 10. B is equal to 20. C is equal to A plus B. Then print C or C. It will do. So that we can write it as a program also here. A is equal to 10. B is equal to 20. C is equal to A plus B, then print C. I wrote it as a program, and I will save it as I will save this as test1. Okay, so I save it as a test1. So when you do it, you will get the same run. Here also you can do it actually. So even source, I have written it over there like test1.r. You have to put quote there. So quote. So source, this is the command. So it will execute that program. So this is how you do it actually. You can save this one. Now I will tell you, when you say a is equal to 10, it is a single variable, like it is called a scalar. But you can assign a vector also. How do you assign a vector? If you have more values, like a is equal to c, then you can type 1, 2, 3, 4 or even 10, 23, some values you can assign. So this is a. You want to count how many values are there in a, the command is length a. So it will show you there are 6 variables, 6 values in a. Another variable b is equal to c, that is a syntax actually. C, within that I can give some values. Okay, so 6 values, same 6 values I will add. Then if I type, so this is a, this is b, then c is equal to a plus b. So then see, if you enter, it will add corresponding elements. So this is the way you add a vector. So I introduced how to put values, put variables, like there are, first thing is a scalar, then there is a vector. Vector you have to, you install vector like this. Okay, so several values. Now there is something called data frame. So suppose dd is equal to, this is another type of another data type in R. dd is equal to data dot frame bracket a comma b comma c. I will type a comma b comma c. Okay, so dd, if you introduce, it will show value. This is called a data frame. So if you want to get the first column, you can say dd a. If you want to get the second one, this one, and c, this one. Even you can take like 2 comma 3. So it will show the third value in the second row, like that. You can pick even one value. This is called a data frame. But one thing with the data frame is that each column, the length of each column must be the same. So every column must have same length. First column 6 values, second and third both, each column has got same number of values. But there is another type of this one. So say for example, if I want to add one more value to c is or b, I will add one more. B is equal to c comma b. So that is existing b. Along with that, I add one more value, 91 I added. So now b has got 7 values, right? Now b has got 7 values, a has got 6 values, c has got this one value. Now if I create a data frame like this, it will not do that, because the length of each column is not the same. So for data frame it should be the same. But you can also have another type of data. It is called a list. So I will simply put d is equal to list a comma b comma c. Then it will do. So then d. So these are different type. So how to, if you want to get the first column, you can type 1. So this will give first, right? If you want to get the second row or second column or second unit, you will get 2. You can put like. You can also assign variables like x is equal to a, y is equal to b, and z is equal to c. Then each column has got a separate name. If you want to get the first one, you can simply type $x, so it will give x. Even otherwise you have to give like this. Okay, so both way you can do. So I have introduced 4 types of data in R. First is a scalar, then a vector, then a data frame, and a list. List can have different types of data also. Suppose if I type like p is equal to c within bracket, within parenthesis I will type apple comma orange. Okay, so then if I type, p is another type of data. So a is this, b is this, c is this, p is this. So I can even create another list by including characters as well as numbers, like, so I'll type D1 is equal to list A comma B comma C comma P. So then D1 will be this one. So in list you can mix up different types of data like characters and integers or other real numbers. You can mix up, so you can have everything put together as one list. So that is the advantage. So first is a scalar, then a vector, then data frame and list. Okay. So these are the different types of different data types in R. Now I will show you how to write a function in R. So the syntax of writing a function is something similar to that. Suppose if you have a function like f of x is equal to ax square, f of x is equal to ax square, then this is how you write it. F is equal to function within parenthesis x, a variable, comma, a parameter a. Then you can type z is equal to a star x, so ax square. Then return the value z. That is how you write as a function. So this can also be written like this, like this. F is equal to function, then x comma a, then parenthesis, then a star x star x. So you don't have to return anything because the last value calculated will automatically return. So you don't have to explicitly write the return statement. So that way also you can do, but otherwise we can return it. So this is a function, and so this is a function. So if there is only one line, then even you can write it like this as a function. This is a function, you can write it like this. This is also possible. Okay, so for the time being, let us use this as a function. So what is this function? F is a function of x, and the function is f of x is equal to ax square. F of x is equal to ax square. That is a function. Then how do you get the value of this value? F of 2 comma 3. If I type it like this, f is equal to 2 comma 3, then x will be 2 and a will be 3. So let us see how does it execute this. We will run this code actually. So we will run one by one, like run. So in the bottom this function has been executed. So now it knows what is the function f. So f of 2. So that so it is told. It is told because a is 3 and x is 2. X is equal to 2 and a is 3. So x 2 square, 2 into 2, 2 square 4, and a is 3, 4 into 3, 12. So that is how you execute it. There is so this is the way you call a function. This is how you call a function, by passing the values. But you can also call the same function. If I suppose if I write it as R1 is equal to this, then if I type R1, so it will give the value 12. So we can also assign in a different way, like R2. So this is similar way. R2 is equal to L apply. Then I have to give a value. The value of x is equal to 2, comma, then function, comma. We need to pass the value of a also. A I put it as 1. So if I type it and run it, so now if you type R2, it will show the value like 4, because 2 square is 4, a is equal to 1. So let us look at this function like apply. There are 3 different functions, and different. One is apply. There is one function. Then there is something called yes apply. You can Google it. This is the syntax actually. This is a syntax. Then there is L apply. So this is the syntax of L apply. Then there is something called M apply. Okay. So M apply is also there. Here you have to give the function, then all the variables. I will tell you the difference actually. So basically I will explain these two things, like apply or L apply will convert the returned value will be a list, that is a L. L means list. So this variable values of this variable argument like 2 and a will be passed on to this function, and it will return z. So that z variable will be converted into list. So when that is good, because if you have so many things to return or more than one values to return, as a list you can return. So this will be a list. The advantages of the list, I said, you can combine both the character strings and as well as numbers, like numerical values. So when you return as a L, that is a good thing. You can put several things together and you can return to the main function, like from the function. So L apply. And but only thing is, the problem is that you can only pass one argument, like if you cannot pass two argument. Suppose you have a function like this, I will write another function. Okay, so this is f of is equal to a function. F of is a function. Then I have x and y. The function is x star x plus y star y. So x square plus y square. So how do you pass these two things? Like I can directly use f of 2 comma or 3 comma 4. 2 for 4. So if I run it, like let us run it. So this 25, 3 square plus 4 square is equal to 24. So this you can. But when if you want the L apply, you cannot do, because L apply will pass only one argument. So if you want to have multiple argument, you have to use this one. So I'll put R3 is equal to m apply, then function is f of. Then I have to type all the variables, like 2 comma 3. So 2 variables. Let us see how what does it return, like now if I type R3, see, then 13, like is it 13, like 2 3, yeah, 2 3. If I put 3 and 4, it will be 25. It should be 25, right? It should be 25. So R3. So again it is returning. Like so, if you have more functions, even if you have z, one more function, like plus z star z. So the function is f of x comma y comma z. It is a function of 3 variables, x, y and z. F of x comma y comma z. So that is f of. So x square plus y square plus z square. So we can do something similar to that. Then it will execute. I'll run this code actually. So this and this you can execute. But you can use it as m apply can also be used, like multiple apply f comma 3 comma 5. So first you write the function in the same order as you have put in the argument of the function. Your values should also be in the same order. Then you can run. So then if I write the value of R3, it will be 50, like so it will, that can be applied. So what is the difference? There are different apply functions. One is simply apply, then s apply. S apply means simplifying. Apply, you want to simplify, you can use that. Otherwise the major two things I am going to use is L apply and M apply. What is the difference? M apply is for multiple arguments. L apply will return the output as the returned value will be a list actually. So that is the that is about it. Like so, how do you know that something is returned and what are the values? Like you return this actually. Now R2, what is R2? R2 is a list actually. You wouldn't know whether it is a list or a data frame or a matrix or whatever. So how do you know that? Then there is a command called class R2. Class R2. If you enter, it will show that it is a list. Any value, if you have given something like that, say for example class A. So it is a numerical value. A is a numerical value. Even if it is a vector, it says as a numerical value. So data frame, it shows what kind of variable is it. So this is how you write a function. You got it. Now I will write a function something similar to this. Okay, now we consider an example. This is a serial code. F of x is the function. Fx is the function. Fx is a function and one variable is passed into that, nf. So what is nf? A is equal to 1 into nf. So A is equal to 1 is to nf. So A is equal to here A is equal to 1 is to 5 means A will be 1, 2, 3 etc. 5. If you type it as A 1 is to 6 means it will give A will be 1 is to, so 10 is equal to A is equal to 1 is to 10. So when nf is passed, we have to give some value. When n is equal to 7, this is A is equal to 1, 2, 3 etc. up to that value. Okay. So then I will write A is equal to 1 to, if n is equal to 2, I will write 1 is to 2, so 1 and 2. Then find the sum of this. See, this is A, this value. Then if you type sum of A means it will type the sum of all these values like 1, 2, 3, sum of 10 is equal, 1 to 10 is 55. So it will sum it up. So this will find the sum it up. Then I assign this nf and the sum, both two numbers like nf, the value returned, and the sum, as are returned into a variable called a row. What is that? What is the type of that variable? It is a list. So it will be list as a row. So two values, nf and row. So that is how I returned it. Okay. So it is as a list. Now I want to calculate for different nf. I want to calculate this function for nf is equal to 1 and n is equal to 2, 1 is equal, nf is equal to 3, like that actually. So I will write as a for loop. This is a syntax of a for loop. For I in 1 is to 6. 1 is to 6 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 6 or up to 6. So it will, I will take these values like it will first take 1, then 2, 3, like that up to 6 it will take. Then after taking, this is a loop actually. So then res is equal to L apply. L apply, the syntax of L apply is that here we have to introduce a value. So the value of nf we have to give. Nf, now the value of I. So I first it will take as 1 and pass on to this I, then the function fx will be called. Then printf, right? So then printf. So it will be executed 6 times. So this function will be executed 6 times. First nf will be 1, second time nf will be 2, third time nf will be 3, like that it will execute. Then it will run. Okay. So I am running the code actually. See these are the output type. So first the code is, the function has been the function has been assigned. Function has been the code to define the function is executed. Then this function. So what is the output? I have asked to print the result. So when I is equal to 1, nf is 1 and sum is also 1. 1 is 1 to 1. So only one value. So the sum is 1. So when the next time I will become 2. So when I will become 2, so this is 1 is to 2. So 1 and 2. Then the sum is equal to 3. So that is why the second time when it is run, it will give the next value, right? 3. So it will be 3 like. So it keep on running up to 6. 1, 2 plus 3 plus etc. 6. So this is a serial code. First I will take the value of I will be 1 and it will execute. After executing that, then assign y is 2 and all. So I want to do parallel program for this code actually. How to parallelize? This is very simple after seeing that code. Okay. So the same code I will use for doing parallel. There is a package called do parallel in R. Do parallel. Okay. So do parallel. How to install that package? In RStudio, click here package, then install. Then you have to connect internet. You should have internet connection. Then parallel. Then if you, so use like do parallel. Then you can click install. So it will automatically install actually once the computer is connected to internet. Just click. I have already installed it, so I am not installing it. It has already been run. So this package has to be loaded. So how to library package? So that has been loaded. Then after loading that, I will run this code. There is a function called detect core. Detect core. Detect core means how many core this processor has got. It will find out how many core. My computer has an i5 processor. Let us see how many core it has got. So this has been. It will find the number of cores and assign to num cores. This is a variable num core. I will run that actually. So it shows 6 core. So my computer has got 6 cores. So each core will work as a separate computer for running the program. Like now I have the same function I have used for this one. So instead of the serial code here, you see this is for loop L apply. For each one I have applied L apply ifx. Here in this one actually I have another function. Result is equal to MCL apply. That means multiple core L apply. So multiple core lapply is this one actually, multiple core lapply. So what to say? So multiple core lapply. Then I have to pass the variable like here 1 to 6. In the serial code I have used within a for loop. So I will vary from 1 to 6. I will vary from 1 to 6. Instead in do parallel I have to put it here like 1 to 6. Then the function. Then mc.core is a keyword. So mc core is a number of core. This is a variable which we have assigned. So we can put any variable name for this one. We have put it like this. So here it is 6. Number of core is 6. Then function. So how many? So with the one core, the advantage. So now we can run this code actually. So I will run one by one. So this one, this one, this one, then this, then printers. It will give the same value as in the serial code. But the difference here is, each one will be executed in different core of the processor. Like in the serial code, there will be only one core we will be using. In one core, I will first assign, or this whole program is assigned to one core, and first I will the variable I will take value 1 and it will execute. After executing that code, again it will take I is equal to 2, then execute the function. Then I is equal to 3, execute the function like that. So it is done serially. How many times the function will be called? 6 times. So if executing that function takes 1 second, it will take 6 seconds, right? 6 times. After finishing the first one only, it will call this next one. Whereas in the do parallel code, what it does is, it will take this value I is equal to 1. That first value here in this function nf, the nf. Nf will take 1 and that will be assigned to the first core of the processor. Then nf will take the next value 2. Then the function will be assigned, but that job will be given to the second core of the processor. Then nf will become 3, that will be in the next core of the processor. So how much time it takes? Only the time of executing one function once, right? Because these are all run simultaneously, because the processor has got 6 core. So the total time will be 1/6, approximately 1/6 of the other serial code. So, but this program is a very small code, you won't find any difference, much difference you won't feel. But basically this is what parallel programming. Why do I want to show this code is that it's very simple. Like we may think that writing parallel programs are a bit difficult and lengthy program. It's not like that. So the difference between, so up to, we have to add 2 things. Here we have to add an extra code like a library do parallel. So that is invoking the library. It is loading the package do parallel. That package will be loaded. Then it will detect the number of cores it has got. These are the 2 lines I have written extra. Then this function is the same. So this one line instead of this loop actually. So in the serial code you have to write it as a loop. So I will take 1 first and then do the function. Then I will take the next value, then execute the function, like that. It keeps on doing within a loop. Whereas in do parallel it is only 1. How to run this code actually. So I will save this code. I will save this code, save as. I will do it in this one actually. Okay, I will or I will run it here. Okay, do this one. Okay, saved that code. Then the serial code also I will run. So how do you run in a program in this? I have saved this as do parallel. This is on code. This is the parallel program code. So how to run a program? There are different ways. Like one is you call R, then you can write a source within quote do parallel. That code you can write, you can run. So that program you can run. So what is the command? Like within R, source within parenthesis we can put within quote the program name, the file name, then enter. It will execute the program. That is one way of running a program in R. This is one way of running a program. Otherwise there is a different way. You don't have to call R. In the shell itself, in the terminal itself, there is a command called R script. Then do parallel dot R. R script do parallel. It will execute this program. but here you are running in the front end, the foreground. You are running this program on the foreground, so you are running it. But if the program is very lengthy program, it will keep on waiting, like it will keep on waiting. Say for example, system, if you say that is sleep command or something, if you do, okay, I will ask the program to sleep for some time. Otherwise, if the program is very complicated, then if I run it, see, it's keep on waiting, like it won't come out, because I asked the ask the program to wait or sleep for 20 seconds, like it will not finish. I just want to show that how program will take more time if it is very complex. So it is keep on waiting. It will not come out of the program and to the shell. So now it is over. Suppose your program is taking 10 hours, if it is a very lengthy code and takes 10 or even 4 hours. So once you give this command, you have to wait 4 hours to come out. Then only you can log out from the system. Otherwise, you cannot close this terminal. But there is another way. You can run the program in the background, like now it will take. See, if you give an AND symbol, now it has come out. But at the same time, this program is run within, like this program is running here. It will run in the background. Whatever the output is there, it will be written. If we ask to write in a file, it will keep on writing it, the output. So this is run behind, within in the background. So now the result are there. But the problem is that suppose if we close it, this output we cannot see. So in order to do that, there is a command called, there is one more thing called no hub. This is how you run the program in the background. No hub R script do parallel. No hub R script do parallel. If you run this, it will run behind in the background, and once it is done, whatever the output to the terminal will be gone to a file called no hub dot out. So everything will be written on whatever the program writes on the terminal will be redirected to no hub dot out. The good thing is that I can run it behind like this with this command, and I can close the terminal. The only thing is the computer which is running the program should not be shut down. Otherwise, we can close the terminal, log out, but still the program will be run in the background. So you can get the answer if it is a very lengthy program. Sometimes you will be connect your machine to some other remote server, and then you run it. So once you run the program in the remote server, you can come out, you can come out in the background. After running it in the background, you can come out and switch off your computer, because the program will be run in the remote server. So even if you shut down your computer, that program will be run in the server. So after it is over, maybe if it is taking 4 hours, then after 4 hours, if you again switch on the computer and connect to that server, then you will get the result. Everything will be written on the no hub dot out, all the output. Suppose if you want to write it on a file, there are commands like write dot CSV or write dot table, then you can write the result into a file. So this is parallel programming is very simple. I have even shown how to run a program. Okay. So this is a different. This is a serial code. This is a serial code. So instead of writing this much, this serial code, I can write one command like rs mcl apply 1 to 6 fx number of core, how many cores you have done. Suppose the core, instead of number of core, I put 12. What happens? 12. So nf will be, or a is equal to 1 to 12 it has to do. 1 is to 12. So first the value will be 1, then 2 up to 12. But the computer has only 6 core. So what it does is 1 will go to first process. It will take nf is equal to 1 and it will be assigned to the first core. Nf is equal to 2 in the second core. Like that up to nf is equal to 6 in the sixth core. But the machine has only 6 core. Though the seventh will go to sorry. The seventh will go to the first core. 8th will go to the second core, like that. So I mean, then how long it takes? I mean, the program will take it to execute 2 times the function, like because physically there are only 6 core, but we have asked the program to run up to 12 core. It will do the program. There won't be any error. The program will execute, but it will take more time because physically only 12 cores are available. 6 cores are available, right? Okay, this is how you run a parallel program. I hope, I think it is very clear and it's very simple also. Next thing is, suppose you have in a parallel computer, you may have different node. This will work only for within one node. Suppose there are different node and you add different nodes to one cluster. In the first node there may be 6 core. There is another computer, another node that will again have a 6 core. Then if you connect everything, put everything together as a cluster, then you have to modify this code. This will not work. It will not use the cores in the next cluster. That we can Google it actually how to do that. This is within one node cluster. Okay, I think it is very clear, and maybe I hope it is useful to you. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.